Hi everyone, and welcome to my video tutorial that's going to form the round 2 submission for my Graphic 45 audition. I am really excited right now, and I've decided to work in my art journal for this video submission. You have already seen the page if you have seen my round 1 entry on my blog, and you will have also hopefully watched the video where I made a page using my Graphic 45 papers to celebrate the flowers that are hopefully going to grow in my garden this year. So you can see I'm flicking through my journal, and this journal is all about combining two things, art journaling and scrapbooking, and this seems the perfect way actually to showcase my gorgeous Graphic 45 papers and bring this tutorial to you today. So you can see I have already removed quite a few pages because the thing that I have in mind for this layout, one, it's going to be romantic, and two, it is going to be quite bulky because it's going to involve creating a pop out. Okay, so I'm starting out as I have done on all my other pages by sticking two pages together. So two pages to form the right hand page of my spread, and two pages to form the left hand side of my spread. I'm using Mod Podge to do this. You could use any other kind of PVA or multi-medium in order to glue your two pages together, but I just would like to say, one, to try and pay attention that you get a nice flat finish, and two, that you have paid attention to keeping the edges nice and glued together so that they become one page when you're turning through this book in the future. So if you're working on an art journal page like this or a book like this, you will find that you will need to remove pages as you go along. And the idea that or the thing that I noticed was it's best to choose a book that have your pages stitched together in batches. That way it makes it much easier for you to remove pairs of pages throughout the book in order to slim it down again to account for the bulk that you're going to add, particularly on this page, to your book. And you can see I'm just removing the second page in the set of two. So my book is ready to make a start. I've glued my left and right hand pages together, and now I set about making myself a pop out. I'm going to talk you through how I did this. So I started out with a piece of scrap card, and I've made sure that this is the same size as my book page. Then I folded it in half, as you can see here, and I discovered by playing about with a few different bits of scrap paper that you can only use half of the width of your page, because if you do any more than that in creating your pop out, when you close your book, your pop out will pop out of your book. And you can see more of what I mean. It probably sounds a bit strange at the moment, but here, as I close this pop out with it in the position that it will be in the book, it folds outwards, and you don't want it to poke out of your book altogether. So that's why you'll see that I have divided my piece of paper, which is the size of my 2-page spread, in half and then half again, and then I've worked in that central section to create the pop out. All I did was draw a heart. I want it to be a frame, so I've removed the central section, and this is going to form the template for my book. And this is the paper that I'm going to use. It's from the Birdsong collection. You can see here it's got a gorgeous pink, delicate romantic side, and then when you flip it over, we have a beautiful cherry blossom print on the other side. Love that turquoise colour, and I knew straight away what I wanted to use for this page, because this is one of the pages that I keep. You tend to keep the pages in Graphic 45 that you love the most for special projects, and you can see that this will turn out to be a page that means a lot to me in my art journal. So this tutorial is all about giving you ideas on what you could do in an art journal of your own, and hopefully persuading you to go ahead and try these techniques out for yourself. So rather than using my scissors, I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to rip my paper, sounds a bit drastic, into the size of my page, just slightly smaller than the side of my page, because I want to be able to see my book page underneath. So I've already measured my page. I'm not going to give measurements in this tutorial because obviously you're likely to be working in a book completely different sizes to mine, just giving you the techniques and the ideas of how to work things out if you want to try a page like this in a journal of your own. So after making my initial tears, all I'm doing is offering my scrapbooking paper up to my book and then marking where I need to make those tears in order to make this page fit. And I just want it slightly smaller than the layout underneath. In order to create a little bit of a shabby look, I've decided to rip all of the elements into size, if you like, on my page. So you will see that I don't really very often use any scissors, but you will see that I will use it for the pop out. So now I'm just folding that piece of paper in half and then folding it in the quarter position so that I can position my template on my piece of paper ready to create the pop out section. So literally I'm just taking the template that I created earlier, making sure it's central on my Graphic 45 cherry blossom paper and then drawing around that pop out heart. Now this is where I am going to use my scissors. So carefully removing that central section and then creating my frame by going a second time around the heart. And you can see where the pop out joins the edge of the page. I am leaving that attached, and that area I'm going to fold in the opposite direction so that my pop out pops out rather than stays folded within the page. And when you put this back into your book, when you close your book, you should find that that pop out doesn't pop out of the front of your art journal. Those of you that have watched my tutorials before know that I like to give you options, and using gorgeous double-sided papers like this one, and I told you I was really torn about which side I wanted to use, no pun intended there. And you can see here that I could at this stage use either side of my paper as the one that's going to be featured in the central section of the page. I've decided to go with that lovely gorgeous muted peach tone and then keep the vibrant turquoise for the pocket elements on my page. So I've printed out a photograph of hubby and I. This was taken about 5 years ago. I'm going with a slightly sepia tone to match in with my papers, and I'm just making sure that the fold isn't across anyone's face. So I've tried to get that fold right in the middle of the two of us, and then I'm going to frame us behind the little heart pop out that I've already created. So again, just resizing my paper, making sure that it's not going to stick out above the Graphic 45 paper that I'm going to attach over the top. So I've just made it slightly smaller than this piece of paper. Because I've already decided that I want to fussy cut my cherry blossoms and add them as an embellishment on my heart-shaped frame, one layer of paper isn't going to be enough. Now you could either create a template or a backing to your frame using a piece of card, in which case I've just used my template to cut out a heart-shaped frame that's going to fit exactly the frame I've already created. But I decided I didn't want to be able to see this turquoise. It wasn't quite right, so I'm going to be a bit lavish here and use another piece of my Graphic 45 paper. But you could use, if you can match the colours a little bit better, you could use a plain piece of card to create this reinforced section. So because I know that I am going to need 2 pieces of paper in order to create this page, I have got plenty of paper in order to cut out this secondary heart shape. So again, using my Mod Podge, I'm going to glue this section, this little heart, on top of the frame that will go into my book. So I'm just using a piece of scrap card and adding the glue to the frame, and then I'm attaching that to the reverse side of my pop out. So I'm just checking that I haven't glued anything together that I don't want to glue, and once this is dry, this will just make that frame a little bit sturdier. I'm going to start to glue down some of those elements onto my page. So starting out with the photograph, making sure that fold is nice and snug against the centre of the book, and attaching one side first and then gluing and attaching the second side. Again, trying to make sure that everything stays nice and smooth. as you add your frame over your photograph, don't forget to make that pop out section fold out of the way. You don't want to get any glue on that little heart-shaped frame. So I've folded that into the pop out position, and then I'm adding glue to the reverse side of my cherry blossom paper. So making sure that I get good coverage, and again I'm attaching one side at a time. So take a little bit of time to make sure that's nestled nicely into the fold and that you've centered it on your page, and then press everything down so it's nice and flat. And then I've just folded a scrap piece of paper that just fits snugly underneath that frame so that I don't get any glue on my photograph as I add the glue to the second side of my pop-out page. Again, making sure everything's nicely covered with a thin layer of glue, and then pressing that second section into position. So really make sure that everything is nice and flat, and once you're happy that everything's in the right position, then you could give that a good press down. I'm just making sure that my heart isn't caught in any way, that it folds out nicely, and that the paper is lying nice and flat. So as I said, I always like to give options because we don't all have the same scrapbooking things, and this is the perfect way to use your Graphic 45 papers because they always have great designs on both sides, and quite often you will find yourself trying to make the difficult decision of which side to use, perhaps on the scrapbook page or a card. And in this one you really don't have to choose because you can use both. So now I've taken two of the pages that I removed earlier from my book, and I'm using those pages to create the bottom layer of each of my two pockets. I'm working on two at the same time, so they'll be exactly the same width, and then I'm going to add my blue cherry blossom paper to the top of the pocket. So the book page is acting as a mat, and I am tearing that section, but I have just cut a clean edge on my little strips of the cherry blossom paper that's going to sit on the top. So I'm just trimming them slightly smaller than the book page, and they together will form the pocket on each side of my page. So throughout this book, if you've been watching these videos, I do like to leave sections of the book page showing, because after all, this was an old book that I'm using to create my little book of memories, and I think it's nice to leave some of that book showing in the final result on the pages that I create. So I've matted and layered the two pockets. Just having a quick tidy away. And the next thing that I want to do is to create some height on my pockets. The reason that I'm doing this is because I intend to put some tags into my pockets, and they will have photographs on and journaling, so they will get a little bit bulky, and I want to make sure that there's enough depth in my pocket that they're not going to get stuck. And I'm doing this by adding a little U shape of chipboard around the inside edge of my pocket. So this is on the reverse of the pocket, and I'm just trimming little 1/4 inch strips of chipboard into a U shape on the back of each of the pockets. So you can decide how deep to do this. I could add another layer if I felt that I hadn't created enough depth for the tags that I was going to put into those pockets. So just removing all of my pencil marks, and I'm ready to stick those pockets into position. Now I like to use glue whenever I'm creating pockets like these, because if you use a double-sided tape, the chances are you will have some of that sticky edge along the side of your pocket. And make sure you stick these in so that the U shape is facing upwards. I want the open end of my pocket to be on the top of the page, not on the bottom. So make sure they're both the right way round, and just add glue to those chipboard U shapes and stick your pockets into position. I've had a look through my scraps of card, and I've got the perfect match to that peachy background, and I've cut 2 strips of paper for each pocket, which I will join together when I form my tags. So I'm just making sure that they're the right width and depth so that they slide nicely into the pocket, and just poke out a little bit at the top so that people in the future can see that there are little tags hidden in these pockets. For those of you that love graphic 45 papers know that there is plenty of opportunity to fussy cut elements from the page and use them as further embellishments on the work that you are doing. So I've decided to fussy cut the gorgeous cherry blossoms from my paper and add them to my heart-shaped frame. So I'm using silicone glue to layer them up because that will be a nice sturdy glue, make sure that the flowers stay in position, and it will also give them a little bit of support because of the nature of this kind of 3D drying glue. So some of the blossoms I am actually decoupaging up to make them a lot more dimensional. So all you need to do is find sort of 2 flowers in the pattern that are the same, and then you can use the second flower to add that further dimension to the first one. So I'm going to be taking a little while to fussy cut things like the extra leaves, little bits of branches, and I'm just going to create a pleasing arrangement around the bottom or the left hand side and the top right hand side of my picture frame. So as you place your blossoms, it's really important to make sure that when you go near the actual fold lines, the portion where your frame joins onto your page, make sure those cherry blossoms aren't in the way of the action of the pop-up frame itself. So just position them slightly to the right or the left of that fold so that when you close your book, it doesn't push on those cherry blossoms. So putting my flowers to one side so that they dry, I'm going to work on my tags. And you can see I'm creating little strips of my cherry blossom paper in order to decorate my tags. I've joined the 2 pieces of card together to form one tag, and then I've rounded the edges. So my 4 pieces of card have become 2, and now I'm adding those decorative strips to the tops and bottoms of my tags. Make sure that these elements are stuck down really well because you don't want to catch them on the pockets as you put these tags in and out. And I am just measuring where my tag sits so that I can add the top little decorative strip to my tag. I want it to be inside the pocket, so I've just drawn myself a guideline, and then I'm attaching the 2 pieces of paper to the tops of my tags. So I've picked out some coordinating ribbon to add to the tops of my tags. So I'm just adding a little hole to the tops of both of the tags, and then I'm doing a simple knot of 2 contrasting ribbons, one in that lovely peachy tone and one in the blue. So literally a simple knot, and then trimming the edges or the ends of the ribbon into a diagonal so that they don't fray. And the ribbon not only lets the reader know in the future that there's something there that they can pull out and have a look at in the book, but it just looks pretty at the top of your page. Before I can move on to the next step of adding shading to my page, I need to cover all the paper elements with a layer of matte medium. This one's by Prima, and I'm just going over all the paper elements on the page except for the photograph so that I can use my Pitt pens in order to add shading to the layout. So these pens are by Faber-Castell. They're called Pitt Pen Big Brush Markers, and I am using them to create shadow and shade. They're new to my multimedia arsenal, and they work great on projects like this one. So I just want to create some extra shading on my project. So if you aren't quite sure of what colour is going to work on your project, I've got a few different shades of grey and brown that I'm just going to test out. I've tested it already on the peach strip that you can see on my desk, but you can't really tell until you get to work on your project. Now the beauty of these pens is while they're wet you can remove them with a wet wipe. It's that actual property of staying wet for a while that allows me to create the blended look you will see in just a moment. So I'm smudging out that ink while it's wet to create a slight shaded look rather than a harsh line. And because I'm using the different colours just to see which is the one that I like the most, if I go too dark or I add too much ink, I can remove it while it's wet with a baby wipe. So I think I'm going to go with the colour that's in my hand at the moment. And once you have chosen the one that you want to work with, the beauty of this is you add some ink and then you can smudge it out with your finger. Now don't be afraid that you're going to end up with a permanent smudge of ink on your finger, because I don't know why, but it comes off your finger really easy, even though once this is dry on your paper or your project, it will be permanent. But you can see I've just got the perfect colour here that blends with the darker elements that are on the Graphic 45 paper that I'm using. So you can see I'm just working a section at a time and then smudging that out with my finger. Now you might be wondering why I'm adding these shading elements to my project. Well, I find that it draws the eye to the detail. It really does make things pop, makes things stand out, but at the same time, and I know this does sound a little bit odd, but it kind of brings everything together as well. So I know that's a bit of a contradiction, but it kind of makes all those paper elements become one design rather than separate elements, and that's why I like this technique. It's actually quite new to me, this product, this pen, but it works brilliantly on these papers. It's transparent enough that it doesn't detract from those gorgeous designs, but it just adds that little element of another depth and dimension to the project. So now I'm attaching some old photographs to my tags. This is my husband and I when I was 18 and he was 19. Oh, so young. And I've just done a bit of journaling on the tag to record for prosperity that we actually met at school, and that our first date was on my 18th birthday, and at my 18th birthday party, and believe it or not, both sets of parents were there. So how many people can say that their parents-in-law came and their parents came on their first date? So these are pictures of Ivan and I courting, and there's a little bit of journaling about our relationship on the other side. So this really is a great way to bring the two disciplines together, if you like. So scrapbooking meets art journaling, and I'm just giving everything a coat of the matte multi-medium, and that just will help protect my photographs and journaling a little bit. And again, make sure that everything is nice and dry before you try to put these back into the pockets. And also, once they're dry, I'm adding a little bit more of that shading to make them match the style of the page that I've created. So as I colour in my letters to match my papers that I have used in this layout, I'm going to use the title Together Forever. How romantic. If you're creating titles on your page, perhaps you like this page but you don't want to do a page about your relationship with your husband, or perhaps you want to use it to frame a picture of your mum, or to frame a picture of your favourite pet or your children. You could use this whole technique. You might not use the same papers as me, because I don't expect that your Graphic 45 stash matches mine, and vice versa. So the beauty of Graphic 45 is that you will always find papers to inspire you, and I hope that during this video I have shown you that, because that's what we were asked to do, to show what our passions are in crafting. And mine is, one, to design and create, and two is to share that here on my YouTube channel, and hopefully to give you lots of tips and techniques. Now I'm about to fail at one here. You can see I've lovingly lined up my letters, and this should be how it works. And you just push the tops of your letters down onto where you want them and then remove your ruler. But unfortunately the sticky on my letters wasn't quite strong enough, so it didn't work. I always like to leave the fact that we all make mistakes, but they're easily rectified. So I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way, using the ruler as my straightness guide and then adding the letters to the pocket. Hopefully second time round I'll get a bit better with that technique. I'll hold on to my letters a little bit better. Now, as I try that technique again, hopefully it works a little bit better this time, I just wanted to say a great big thank you to everyone that has supported me. It really was exciting to get through to this second stage, third time lucky. This is the 7th page in my in my art journal, so I'm really hoping all those numbers are stacking up the luck for me, and I know that you've all been keeping your fingers crossed, so I really do want to thank you very, very much, no matter what happens. Because I've noticed, because I've had a look at everybody that has got through to that final round, and I really am in prestigious company, and there's lots and lots of inspiration there for using these gorgeous Graphic 45 papers. So this video in round 2 is all about showing you my design strengths or my crafting strengths, and I believe totally, and I think anybody that is subscribed to this YouTube channel knows how much I enjoy sharing my crafting passion with you all, and hopefully coming up with lots of different things for you to try, and this page is no different. I've started out with a gorgeous paper. It inspired me to create this romantic page about me and my husband, and I've been able to, through creating pockets and the frame and everything else, to make a page that means something to me, and I hope that I've inspired you to do the same. So if you're popping by and wondering what this Audition business is all about, I'd just like to link at the end of this video back to my original Audition post for this year over on my blog. I'll also leave you some photographs at the end of this video of the projects that I created this year and in previous years in my attempts to become part of the awesome Graphic 45 design team. So a great big thank you to Graphic 45 for this amazing opportunity. Really hope that I've showed you how much I love creating with your papers, and that the different directions in which they take me, and that's what inspires me the most about working with Graphic 45. There's always inspiration as you flick through those gorgeous papers, and I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button and the share button, and please keep your fingers crossed for me as I audition in this second round of the Graphic 45 Design Team Audition 2015. So here's the final page complete, and I hope you can see here all that gorgeous dimension that I got by creating the pop-up and then using those beautiful cherry blossoms as the decoration on my photograph frame. A romantic page indeed. Thank you for watching. So as I prepare to wait for the outcome of this second round of the Graphic 45 Design Team Audition 2015, I really hope that you're keeping everything crossed for me as I am for myself. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, and you can click on some of these links and see the other things that I've been up to with my Graphic 45 papers. This link will take you back to the original audition post on my blog, and this link will take you to the video that came from that first post, and this is using my Bohemian Bazaar papers, and you can see a totally different page. Popping up round about now is a link to my Graphic 45 playlist, where you will see other inspiration and projects that I've made using my Graphic 45 papers over the years. And I also wanted to share a link to the Graphic 45 announcement for the top 25, so that you can go and check out all the awesome creativity that went on in all the auditions for this second round. I can't do it here, but I can do it in the description below this video. So if you want to go and check out that creativity for lots and lots of inspiration using your Graphic 45 papers, then please check it out, because everyone has worked really hard on these projects, and I really want to wish everybody, including myself of course, lots and lots of luck, because this is an awesome opportunity and we all love Graphic 45. So fingers crossed for all of us. And this is my final photograph, and I think it says it all. It's a piece that I created again using my Bohemian Bazaar papers. It's a mixed media canvas, and I really loved that quote, "Let your creativity bloom." I hope that I've done that here, and like I said, good luck to everyone, keeping everything crossed. Thank you for watching.